This is Derek Prall, the managing editor of American City and County Magazine. I have with me today Gary McCarthy. Gary's the mayor of Schenectady, New York. Schenectady is a smaller city. Its population is only about 66,000, but under the mayor's guidance, it's quickly becoming a center for smart city innovation. Mayor McCarthy, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in Schenectady right now?
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to talk with you. We've looked at some of the emerging technology that is available today, and a lot of it centers around conversion of your existing street lights to LEDs. And that's a simple formula where there's a big savings going from the mercury or sodium vapor lights to LED. You get increased savings from your electrical consumption and also reduced maintenance costs where you have a longer lifespan off the LED fixtures. And what I'm looking at here in the city of Schenectady and also encouraging other municipal leaders across the country to look at is when you do that conversion, it's a mistake not to look at some of the other emerging technologies that can be put in the light heads, whether it's cellular communication, Wi-Fi communication, environmental sensors, the video, cameras, and then the corresponding analytics that are able to be derived from that, which allow municipalities to deliver their services more effectively, greater consistency, and make, hopefully, our communities more livable.
So, what are some of the tangible benefits, maybe even aside from the cost savings of switching the streetlights over? What are some of the tangible benefits of the technologies that you've placed in Schenectady's lighting grid?
As you do the conversion, you get the initial savings from lighting. There's also the ability to vary the lights as a function of activity. So if nobody's on the street, you can have the lights dimmed down. You get greater savings from that. The ability of putting cameras there, you pick up the security aspect of it. But with those cameras, you can do a number of analytic functions. So it's parking, traffic management. You're able to synchronize your red lights to more adequately monitor and correspond with traffic flow so that you reduce idling time, you let people know where parking spaces are. On the other end of that spectrum, when you have those high definition cameras, a lot of that's real time. You want to manage it now, but also look at, you take one picture a month of the street surface with a high definition camera, and that becomes your pavement management plan over a 5 or 7 year period so that you can look at the deterioration in street surface. Do you need to do some crack sealing? Do you do routine maintenance? And hopefully you stay ahead of the curve so you never have to really do a full rebuild of the street surface.
Sure. That definitely makes sense. So you mentioned the kind of security camera aspect of this and the real-time analytics of footage that can help public safety, that can really increase safety in the city itself. But are there any concerns with privacy? I know that sometimes these smart city solutions kind of get compared to George Orwell's 1984 with Big Brother.
And that's part of the discussion. Where you put the cameras, who has access to it. Look at hopefully you're avoiding the negative aspects where it's solely a police function. We have a very successful green market that occurs on Sundays around City Hall. Looking to light up some of those cameras, use them more as a webcam so that they're adding to the marketability of that green market. Those cameras also are able to detect where parking spaces are occupied and where they're vacant so that people don't have to drive around looking for available parking. We have a fairly extensive camera network in the city that was deployed solely for law enforcement, and it was put in the format where it was wireless. And the original idea behind that was you would put the cameras in where you had problem areas, street corners, that would allow the cameras to leverage the police resources and be able to document the ongoing problem. You'd be able to solve that problem and then be able to move the cameras because they were wireless to another area in the city. And what we found is when we put the cameras up, worked with the police, and yes, they did provide the leveraging of the police resources. Neighbors, residents, property owners where the cameras were deployed after they'd been up a while did not want them moved. And so we built the system to build in flexibility, and then it turned out once the cameras were in place, people really liked them. They wanted them there. They wanted that resource to be in place. And so I think it's an educational process, and it's as you deploy it through a community, you have to have a dialogue with the residents, with property owners and businesses there, so that you're making sure people understand the value of the cameras, what the information is going to be used for, and the potential to leverage that. So it's not only the camera that's going there, but it's the Wi-Fi or cellular connection where the lights are talking to each other, the environmental sensors that you can put in the light heads, and then the emerging wireless sensor-based technology that is occurring every day. That some of the things, as we're talking today, next year there's going to be more options that communities will have, that residents and businesses will have to take advantage of communities that are looking to put in place this type of mesh network to, again, take advantage of wireless evolving technology.
Sure, and that idea of communicating the value to citizens, I think that makes a lot of sense when you're trying to combat that kind of Big Brother kind of scary mentality that a lot of people have surrounding these technologies, and also opening it up and having it be transparent and available to citizens to use for their purposes, to see parking, to see traffic, that type of thing. I think that's a really good idea. Are there any concerns in Schenectady about cybersecurity? I know that when we talk about the Internet of Things, hacking is always kind of the follow-up question to what are the benefits of this? Okay, well, what can be some of the scary potentials? Are there any safeguards put in place that you guys have started thinking about now?
Well, we look at that as we not only with our smart cities deployment, just our IT infrastructure within the city, and it's the nature of the world we live in today that you have to have that constant vigilance to look at maintaining the integrity of the systems you put in place, looking at whatever the leading edge antivirus softwares are, because there are people and even attackers that are sanctioned by foreign governments who will look to compromise all the good things that are happening and use them for perverse and negative ways. And so it's something that people, you look at the good things, but you have to simultaneously look at that potential for abuse and do it on an ongoing basis to make sure that you're, again, maintaining the integrity of the resources that you've deployed.
Absolutely. So my last question is a little bit more speculative, but this is obviously something you've done a lot of thinking about, and even your team there in Schenectady, it seems to be very forward-facing and thinking about the future. So what future do you see for this? What is the smart city going to look like in 10 or 20, even 50 years down the road?
Well, we hope that it's going to be more livable, more sustainable, and clearly more cost effective. And so you look at not only municipal services, but you look at how you leverage the resources within the school district to make sure that students have equal opportunity independent of their economic status in life. You look at the delivery of healthcare systems, the ability to provide monitoring for individuals so that they're better able to assess what conditions they may be experiencing or symptoms they may be experiencing, and that they get the appropriate level of service. Healthcare, I think, is one of the exciting areas that, the huge costs are being spent, and how do we make sure that those dollars that people are paying for healthcare give them true bottom line results, in that it's exciting where people are living longer, and the evolution of these mesh networks for sensor-based technology. It's really exciting, and I believe that'll be one of the key things that will provide funding for these type of deployments and make urban areas more attractive for individuals to live in and want to have a business there.
Sure. Great. Well, that's all I have. I'd really like to thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and for taking the time to write something for our Smart Cities section. I would encourage everybody to go read that article. It's very interesting stuff. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity just to help talk about some of the things that we're doing here in Schenectady. And if there's ever anything that we can do in the future, don't hesitate to call.
Absolutely.